All right, let's call the Commissioners' meeting to order at 10:01. All those who are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any public comment for items not appearing on today's agenda? Seeing none, any additions to the agenda from the board? No? All right, moving on to the meeting minutes. If there's no changes or corrections, we'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve the minutes from the meeting held June 10th.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the meeting held on June 10th. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Moving on then to our proclamation number 33, proclaiming safe and secure firearm storage in Center County. I believe we have Josh and one Ann this morning. All right. So why don't you sit there next to Steve so the cameras can get a little better angle for you.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming. So I don't know who's kicking it off.
I'm going to let Josh go
All right.
first,
Yeah,
and then
I'll
I'll
read
Okay.
finish us.
2 years ago, we formed the Center County Interfaith Coalition for Gun Safety to combat the chilling effects of the gun violence epidemic in our community, state, and country. We believe that God calls us to fight with compassion for a society free from preventable gun violence and support any and all measures that bring us closer to that aim. That is why we stand proudly with the Board of Commissioners this morning. When we speak of preventable gun violence, we think of the children and adolescents who died last year from unintentional firearm injuries. We think of the high rate of suicides by gun violence in rural communities like ours, and how proper storage and security promises to lower that rate considerably. We think of the victims of gun death by domestic violence and how proper security measures could keep firearms out of the hands of those who abuse their partners. As an interfaith organization, we have developed a resource document to help faith communities build protocols and best practices to prepare their congregations for gun violence. We have facilitated discussions with faith leaders about how their congregations engage with safety measures and how we can navigate the fear that this evokes. For more information, please visit our website or find us on social media. We have also paired with other faith organizations and Ceasefire PA on a statewide level to combat the gun violence epidemic. There, the focus is on legislative work like Ceasefire's common agenda to end gun violence. Relevant for today's proclamation is HB 731, calling for common sense measures for safe firearm storage. Today, we ask all present to call their state representatives and advocate for the passage of this important, life-saving bill. In closing, we call on you to make this proclamation a beginning and not an end, to bring this issue to our family, friends, community members, and legislators, to join us in our message, and to not stop until, as the Hebrew prophet Isaiah says, we may all, quote, live in joy and be led home in peace. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Josh. And Ann, I know you've been involved in human services for decades.
I have, but let me say, this is what retirement looks like
Okay.
for me. When I decided to retire, I wanted to stay active and engaged in the community in ways that were important to me. And the Interfaith Coalition for Gun Violence brings together two pieces of my history. One is the work to create a safer community, particularly in the area of domestic violence. And the other part is that as a Presbyterian minister, I'm motivated by my faith. And as my faith calls to me to work on behalf of those who are called the least of these, the most vulnerable in our society. For me, that's children, but it's also victims of violence. It's also people who are suffering from mental health crises. And this is a way, this particular proclamation and the work that we're doing for safe firearm storage is a way for us to cross those boundaries of divisive conversation. Who is not for safe gun storage? Who doesn't want to keep our children safer? When we know that there are almost 5 million American children who live in homes with guns that are both loaded and unlocked, that's terrifying. That's terrifying. We know that firearm deaths are the leading cause of death for children and teens. That's a relatively new statistic, but it's true. We know that if firearms are stored safely, it actually reduces the risk and the possibility of lethal attempts at suicide, because just that slowing down works. That's one of the reasons why Josh mentioned that we've worked with other organizations. We work with Jana Marie Foundation to address lethal means in the home. We've worked with law enforcement because we want to make our communities safer. And we know and appreciate the fact that the Board of Commissioners also wants to make our communities safer. We know that these are difficult conversations around firearms. They're not easy. But there is common ground. And I appreciate that you have helped us find that. Thank you.
Great, well, thank you, Josh, thank you, Ann. I do know of several persons who have taken their own lives using firearms. There's roughly a 4,400% increase in successful suicides in homes that have unlocked firearms compared to a home that doesn't have firearms at all. You have a lot of people who hunt for sport, who do target shooting. Guns can be a great way for people to bond and for intergenerational relations, but also they need to be locked up, stored safely. I know that there's even some new biometric type locks that are available. So a lot of technology out there to make the guns safer so that you can enjoy them on your own time. Pass it over to Commissioner Concepcion.
Yeah, so just thank you so much for calling attention to these issues. I know that this effort through the Interfaith Coalition and the Be Smart effort in our community that really teaches people what are the steps to safe gun storage is really crucial for keeping kids in our community safe, really for keeping everyone safe, because we know that one of the most important things that we can do in terms of child-proofing our homes is to ensure that that kids don't have access to anything that could be lethal. So just like you're going to make sure that you have medications or household cleaners or other things that are dangerous to kids locked up, we really need to make sure that kids also don't have access to firearms. And even at ages where you might think that you could trust that you've told a kid something, you can't. Their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed, and their impulse control is not necessarily there. And we see far, far too many situations that were completely preventable by safe gun storage, where kids are getting into, with access to a loaded firearm, and then tragedies that occur within families is just really heartbreaking. So thanks for really calling attention to this issue. I think, living in rural Pennsylvania, hunting is an important part of the culture here, and I think we all, support, the use of firearms in sport and hunting, and that this is, this can be a crucial part of our culture, and also make sure that our kids are safe, so that these, tools are locked up and not accessible to kids. So, and I think the point about access to lethal means, and how do you just slow that down? First, we know that adolescents are kind of a uniquely, risky age group for suicidal ideation, and making sure that you've got at least a way to slow down access to lethal means that can make all the difference. So, yeah, thanks for your work on this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Dershowitz.
Well, I am a firm and strong supporter of the Second Amendment, and I am completely in agreement that weapons need to be secured around children. I think it's common sense. I think it makes it's a very normal thing to assume that if you're going to have children in your environment, that they need to be protected. I think every home situation is a little different. There are families that don't have children that may find different alternatives. But I think one needs to educate themselves as to the different types of safe practices. There may be a trigger lock. There may be a biometric container. There may be a locked room. There may be a variety of different things that can keep kids safe. I think it's important, and I think I can speak from a relative vantage point of expertise here, because I've been a firearms instructor for decades. And I will tell you that the smartest thing that needs to be done is making sure that the folks that are handling guns are properly trained. And I really, really
Agree.
Yep.
feel it is important that firearms training is part of the regimen, whether you're a casual hunter or whether you're going to carry a gun for
Absolutely
personal
agree.
protection. And I think that all goes hand in hand with that training. And I would really just reach out to people and say, if you want to keep yourself safe and you want to keep your family safe, there's lots of resources out there. The National Shooting Sports Federation and a lot of other folks all have all sorts of information and documentation and resources to find out. And I think even the sheriff has gun locks in his office. There's lots of ways to do this, and I think we need to educate ourselves to make sure that we keep kids safe. So, there you go.
I agree, and if I could just add to that, my own son is trained in handling, he knows what to do when he sees a firearm, and he
Sure.
knows how to handle one responsibly, so I totally
That's great.
agree. I think
That's extra important, and I don't think I'll know people, they think that watching a movie or watching TV or watching a video on YouTube teaches you what you need to do, and really, I think a responsible course is a very valuable tool, particularly with children that have curiosities that I think it just makes sense, whether you're an adult or a child, and that's why they have hunting safety classes for children before they can hunt. I mean, it just makes sense to have the training and the ability to make rational decisions
Yeah,
and operate
absolutely.
appropriately. So I appreciate your points.
Great, well, thank you very much, thanks for coming. Unless there's anything else on this particular topic, we can take a motion, and JJ can get ready to take a photo.
Okay. I will move that we adopt Proclamation 33 of 2025 proclaiming safe and secure firearm storage in Center County.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Proclamation number 33 proclaiming safe and secure firearm storage in Center County. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay.
All right, thank you.
The motion carries. Come on up. Center on Bellefonte.
We were told by Andrea that to take lots of pictures.
Oh, okay. All right. So JJ, you might have to operate another
I
camera.
might have to do mine too, if you don't mind.
Come on over. There we go. That's better. Are we mostly centered, JJ, or we need to?
Yeah, if you also just kind of
Like-
put that, like in between the two flags. Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah. All right, smile. 3-2 gun, is that?
No, not that one.
3-2 gun safety.
There you go.
3-2 gun safety, all right.
All right, that's the other camera.
Alright, 3-2 gun safety for real. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you all, this was great. Really
Thanks for
appreciate
your
it.
advocacy.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
We know we're gonna get a friendly reception from you all.
Thanks, Ann.
Thank you, good to see you, absolutely. Have a good rest of your meeting.
So far, so good.
All right, moving on to our resolutions. We have resolution number 8, adopting a hazard mitigation plan to ensure the county's eligibility to receive federal funds, and I believe Liz is covering that.
I am. Where do you want me at? Here?
Where does the press prefer? And on the side table?
It usually looks better.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I will sit wherever you want.
Hazard mitigation.
I'm presenting this item today because your EMA staff are out in the field and have other obligations. That being said, though, EMA and planning have historically worked on the hazard mitigation plan very closely. And just to kind of show my age, this is my third hazard mitigation plan at Center County government, so we kind of know the ropes.
So we do them every 3 years?
We do them every 5 years. So
Okay.
because of that, I just wanted to give a little bit of a synopsis and background for those of you present. The Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 makes hazard mitigation plans mandatory for state, local, and tribal governments seeking certain types of federal disaster assistance. This act amended the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act, requiring these plans as a condition for receiving federal disaster assistance. More specifically, the Act outlines plan development and requirements, including hazards identified, provides that plans must be FEMA approved, making jurisdictions eligible for pre- and post-disaster mitigation efforts, and promotes a broad public involvement in the planning process to ensure that community needs and priorities are addressed. In Center County, all 35 municipalities and nearly 24 agencies, including human services departments at Center County government, participated in an 18-month planning process under guidance from consultants at Michael Baker International. That being said, all 35 municipalities having full participation in the process will adopt the plan by May 2026 to ensure their own disaster funding eligibility. Within the plan, 27 natural and man-made hazards are detailed by their location and extent, magnitude and impact, past occurrences, future probability, and the vulnerabilities that are presented to communities and populations. This detailed level plan not only is a federal requirement for assistance, but it also influences local policies regarding subdivision and development, land use and transportation, and the siting of critical facilities and infrastructure. So since we have been through this before on that 5-year cycle, I think most of us are pretty familiar that the plan continues to get more complicated. And every year we identify additional hazards. One of the newer ones that we have addressed in this plan is terrorism. Unfortunately, as we continue into the world of AI, that is one of the drawbacks that the hazard mitigation plan has to address. So with that being said, I ask the board to consider Resolution 8 of 2025, adopting the hazard mitigation plan to ensure eligibility in receiving federal funding assistance under disaster declarations and planning grants for hazard mitigation projects.
Great, thank you, Liz. Thanks for covering that, and actually the timing is sort of good because we just got an email this morning from our emergency management agency that PEMA is forecasting up to 3 inches of rain will fall this afternoon and evening, and much of Center County is now at a significant threat for flooding. So if you are in a lower lying area, you might want to pull some of your nicer stuff out of the basement and maybe not park the car in the low spot tonight. I'll hand it over to Commissioner Concepcion.
Yeah, thanks for reviewing this. It's, as you've noted, we have to have this on file to be eligible for disaster relief. But thanks for all the effort on this. It's, an important part of the emergency planning is to have these protocols in place and really identifying all of the likely hazards to our citizenry.
Commissioner Dershowitz.
Well, we all know that there are floods and fires and other catastrophic events that occur. I think the real challenge for us is, and for the federal and state governments, is to coordinate activities. And funding, although funding is important, there are some times when we can help each other out. And I think this is one of those opportunities where we can work together to come up with a better solution if we do have a catastrophic event, which, as Mark indicated, is sometimes just right around the corner. So, whatever we need to do to be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a good point, with the local coordination. Here through the EMA office, they have their local emergency planning committee. Every municipality has a point of contact and a coordinator. So that, again, that kind of helps bring those resources in, kind of in that top-down approach.
I don't know that we've ever had an event in Center County, in my recollection, that brought FEMA in en masse to deal with the situation, but we've had events that certainly have challenged our local ability to deal with situations, and hopefully we don't have any of those anytime soon. Because when you see some of the catastrophic fires and flooding that occurs in other parts of the country, or whether it's a tornado or a hurricane, it's almost unfathomable to see a whole region wiped out, and hopefully we don't have to have that level of
Yes.
coordination.
Well, I'm remembering October 22nd and October 23rd of 2016, Steve, where we
We were
had
close.
7 inches of rain and Milesburg flooded, and they were evacuating people out of second-story windows, and I called in the choppers that ended up going to Lycoming County and pulling people off roofs before they drowned it up there. And they had a bridge that got lifted off its foundation, which then hit a gasoline pipeline up in Lycoming County. And
Yeah.
then the very next day, Penn State ended Ohio State's hopes of a national championship, and the students rioted. So would very much like to thank our emergency responders for their quick and capable assistance during the worst 48 hours Center County had experienced in the last 10 years at that point. And as you said, Steve, a lot of coordination going on, lots of people chipping in and helping, and lots of emergency responders working like 35 or 40 out of 48 hours. They were tremendous.
Yeah, thanks for that memory.
Sorry, Steve. Every time we bring this up, I keep thinking,
I still
That
recall
was-
being in downtown Milesburg, and there was a fellow on a garden tractor
Yep.
with the water up to about the middle of the engine,
Yeah.
plowing through the. Yeah, that was
when,
that was a time, and that was one of a few.
yeah,
So,
well, and the staff at, your father, I don't think he was quite there at the time, was it Eagle, which Eagle is it, the one that's in Milesburg?
Eagle Valley.
Eagle Valley, the Eagle Valley
They got
personal
it too.
care home.
Yeah, they got
They
it
were
too.
evacuating residents in up to chest-high water, and the county transportation department reacted quickly and had a line of buses waiting for the residents as they were coming out with their wet nightgowns to transport them to other facilities, which again, we thank the other facilities because they did it very quickly. But
Bald
wasn't it
Eagle
about
High School.
Yeah, Bald Eagle High School. Took about 2 months or so for them to repair the flood damage.
But you just never know. And we've seen it
Yeah.
in Phillipsburg, we've seen it in Milesburg, we've seen it in Coburn. I mean,
Yes.
there's a lot of areas, and we've seen it here in Bellefonte. I mean, it's important that we have the make ready, and unfortunately, those impacts are oftentimes far-reaching.
Yeah.
But let's just hope we don't have any FEMA
Yeah.
necessary events anytime soon.
No, but adopting this will cover you for the next 5 years.
All right.
And then it's always important to
All right.
remind the municipalities that please adopt this too as your own.
Yes, thank you.
Good. Well, I hope we're all here 5 years from now for the next readoption.
You know what? Actually, I just remembered. FEMA and the federal government, thank you, Cindy, was very instrumental in helping, although it took a while,
Yeah.
to replace the road up through
Yes.
Valley View and
Yes.
at the top of the mountain to Purdue Mountain Road
Yeah.
when that was washed out. So we do have
Yes.
a relationship with them now. That wasn't quote unquote an emergency action. It was more retrofitting a road. But yeah, we do need them.
Yeah. Critical Connector Road, I think that was a $2 million project, and
That took
the
forever.
township didn't have 2 million, and
Yeah.
the county certainly didn't have 2 spare million either, so,
And it seemed to take forever, but
Yeah.
I guess it got done. So,
yeah,
anyways.
great. Sorry for the digression there,
Yeah.
Liz. This
sort
is
of
a
wa-
very important topic.
We sort of wandered off into the abyss there, but
Great. Any questions from the press on this one?
Yeah, I know you mentioned that AI was part of this new plan. Are there any other kind of significant items that got added to it?
They did address, we had called it the opioid crisis, but that language has changed because we are recognizing, and this was part of having our human services department involved, was looking at the implications of just general substance abuse. So that was one of the other significant changes.
And then
With the current administration's federal funding cuts, is that kind of impacting this program at all, or do we know?
Currently, no. I mean, we have heard, some rhetoric out of DC from the Department of Homeland Security that they may opt to, I guess I would say, decentralize, and that FEMA may not be the one to immediately come in and assist the states. I think that kind of speaks to why we need these plans then so much more than ever to be able to do that capacity at the local level in the event that FEMA won't be here immediately for that assistance.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great questions, Tim. Unless there's anything else, I think we could take a motion.
I will move to adopt Resolution 8 of 2025.
I will second it.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 8 of 2025. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Liz.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
All right, and now Quentin has bids and proposals for the Center County Meals Program, more commonly known as Meals on Wheels, and we appreciate State College handling their area, which lets us concentrate on the rest of the county.
Yep. So we requested bids for our meal program, which consists of our home-delivered meals, which we provide anywhere from 280 to 300 meals to older adults in Center County. And then our congregate meals, which are the meals that are provided through our senior centers. And we do provide shelf-stable meals, which we do provide to our older adults whenever we have bad weather. They're meals that they can grab so that they don't go without. We received 2 bids, which provided all the required information, and they are from The Nutrition Group and Fry's Commissary. What we are asking for is we're asking approval to enter into contract negotiations.
Great, well, appreciate your hard work on this, Quentin. Great to see we had more than one bid this time.
Yep.
And obviously for a lot of our seniors, first, they really rely on those meals. And second, thanks to our transportation department, we've actually saved several senior citizen lives because the drivers notice that the senior is not greeting them at the door like they normally do, or that there's a pile of uneaten meals at the senior citizen's home. Of course, same things happen in the State College area as well. So this is a critical program, and we appreciate the state and federal funding that allows us to continue to offer it. Commissioner Concepcion?
Yeah, thanks. I'll ditto everything that Commissioner Higgins said. It's really, an important safety check as well, dropping off those meals. So, beyond the nutrition, which is clearly really important to make sure that senior citizens who may be in need of some help with preparing meals or, the financial need of being able to feed themselves, that this fills a really important need in our county. So.
Commissioner Tersham?
Is it appropriate, I guess, in the process of looking at these contracts and looking at who our next vendor is going to be, is to actually reach out to some of the other folks that they do business with? And, because it's everything from the quality of the meals to the consistency and, all the.
So part of the packet of what we have is actually references.
Sure.
And I will be reaching out to each of the references, and they are and asking questions about the quality of food, their satisfaction with each of the providers.
And I would think that it's just based on what I know about the dynamic of this program, I think it would be good for us to maybe, once you have kind of narrowed in on who you prefer and what the best fit would be, that we meet as a board and have that conversation, so we make sure that, we get all eyes on this. This is a pretty important big program that has long-ranging effects on our citizens. So.
Yeah, I think particularly what is the food quality and
Absolutely.
enjoyability of.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, we'd like to have that conversation, if you would.
Sure.
Please, like. Thank you.
Great, well, we'd like to thank Quentin and the aging staff and the Controller's Office for taking the bids in, and just so happy to see we have a choice this year.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll move that we enter into a contract review for the Center County Meals Program, IFB.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to enter into contract review for the Center County Meals Program, invitation for bid. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. Great, thank you, Quentin.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, moving on to contracts and authorizations. John has one for 911 communications.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you for consideration is the approval of a contract with GPD Group to provide structural analysis on a Pennsylvania state-owned tower site, Union 001. It's in Union County. we are proposing to put some of our equipment on that tower to provide improved radio communications in eastern Miles Township. There's a coverage gap there. And in order to cover that gap, there are 3 proposed locations that will help fill in that void. And this is one that we need to do a structural analysis of a tower. Anytime you
Yeah.
propose to add or alter equipment on a cell tower, you have to do a structural analysis to make sure that the tower can handle the equipment.
Great, well, I believe this is sort of vaguely in the Livonia area and points east of that, one of the smaller communities in Center County. But off the top of my head, I know there's a very busy church camp out that way, and also some state lands, plus it's, again, a vital connector road. So appreciate 911 Emergency Communications working to fill in some of the last gaps in coverage for Center County. Commissioner Concepcion?
Yeah, agreed. Makes sense.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
Good, thank you.
All right.
Okay, then I'll move to add the contract with GPD Group to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to add the contract with GPD Group to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great, thank you, John. And Carrie is all ready to talk about the county adding some additional crisis services.
Not exactly. So I'm
All right,
requesting
sorry.
a contract addendum to our current contract with Tracy Small as our
Oh,
CIT
sorry.
consultant. So currently that runs June 25th of 2024 to June 30th of 2025. So we just want to extend that a few days to July 6th, just to be safe, because next week is our 27th CIT training class. We just want to allow for enough time for Tracy to finish up any of the invoices or any paperwork she needs to finalize before her new position takes effect on July 7th, where she'll be a full-time county employee. We may not need this extra time, but we just didn't want to sell ourselves short and not have that and have her contract end on June 30th and then her not be able to do any work until the following Monday with her new position. So next week is the 27th class, and by the end of that week, those graduates will put us over 500 officers and first responders trained. So it's a significant training class for us. So.
Thanks, Carrie. I do believe Center County is the model statewide for smaller and medium-sized counties as to how to run a crisis intervention team program.
Yes, we are looked at quite often, and we do partner with PCCD on coming up with the agenda for the annual statewide CIT meeting.
Tracy's done a great job. We don't want her sitting around twiddling her thumbs for 8 days as the timing's off.
Yes.
It's all good.
Commissioner
Great.
Concepcion?
Yep, sounds good.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
Absolutely
All right.
good.
Then I'll move to approve the contract addendum number 1 with Tracy Small.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract addendum number 1 with Tracy Small. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Now, moving on to liquid fuels and fee for local use, which is a program where the county assists a lot of our municipalities. Why don't you come over here to the side, if that's okay, so they can get better angles from the TV camera.
Okay, greetings everyone. Today we are here to seek your approval of the proposed 2025 liquid fuel and fee for local use schedule. We are recommending that the Commissioner authorize the start of the fee for local use and liquid fuel program on Tuesday, August 19, 2025. Notification will be sent to all the municipalities on Friday, August 22, 2025. The deadline for the municipalities to submit the application to the county is Friday, October 2025 by 5 p.m. And from Monday, October 20 through Monday, November 10, the county staff and the PennDOT will review the submission simultaneously. Staff recommendation will be presented to the Board of Commissioners on Tuesday, November 18, 2025. And the board is expected to make final decision on the awards on Tuesday, December 16, 2025. These applications can be submitted online or could be mailed to the county office. And all the 35 municipalities are eligible to apply, so we encourage them to apply. We are here to help them guide the process. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Well, thanks for covering that. Do you have any other background you or Coach you wanted to add for this?
I think she's doing a really good job with
All
this
right.
right now. This will be Reach's first go at the
Okay.
use of the fuels applications, and we certainly encourage all the municipalities to apply. We would encourage them to do cross-municipal applications as well too. So if they have a road that passes between their municipalities, by all means, work together to submit those or accept those kind of applications as well too. Any questions, they should reach out to Richa. She's the new transportation planner in the planning office.
Richa, how much money do we have this year?
Okay.
I know that changes
Yeah.
periodically.
Yeah, so if there are no change orders till the completion of like bridge bundle project, we have around like combined 840,000 for the combined FIFO local use and liquid fuel program. But however, this will have the accurate number closer to the end of the year.
Is that
Right.
840 in liquid fuels alone, or is it
No.
the sum total?
This is the sum total.
Okay. I was just curious what
Yeah.
the liquid fuels number.
Okay, so
Yeah. Liquid
because
fuels
the-
number's been 160 to 180, I
Yeah.
think.
because like the next deposits, next in the December we'll have the money deposited in the liquid fuel amount, so that will increase it. But currently the liquid fuel amount is really low, like it is like 28,412, and the remaining amount is from the FIFO local use from the current data.
Okay.
Steve, the liquid fuels has been going down, the liquid fuels amount allocations have been going down. They're a little over $80,000, and we get those twice a year.
Right.
So we really try to manage those with what we have in the system. And we have a lot of projects that are still pending out, they're to be completed, so they'll be coming out of the fund balances that we have there, so.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Right, so to try to break this down for the folks at home very quickly, Center County government, unlike most governments county governments in Pennsylvania, we own no roads.
Or
We own
bridges.
no bridges. And we got ourselves backed out of the light bulbs at a traffic light. So we don't have anything directly to do with the roads and bridges in Center County. We still, however, receive about $160,000 a year of state liquid fuels funding, which doesn't go very far, which is why we implemented the $5 vehicle registration fee, which now appears to be bringing in over $600,000 per year. The municipalities don't have a lot of money. They have to match in a very complex way state and federal funds to get these projects done. And so the liquid fuels funds and the fee for local use is pretty much what makes it happen. That's why we don't have a lot of substandard bridges and massive fields of potholes in Center County. I know we have some, I know they're out there, but in comparison to other counties or, my goodness, other states, we're actually incredibly fortunate.
100% of what we bring in liquid fuel
Yes.
fee for local use goes to local municipalities.
Coach, could you get closer to one of the
I'm
mics?
sorry. I said roughly 100% of the liquid fuels and the fee for local use allocations that are received by Center County are turned back out to the municipalities within Center County, or for county projects where we're supporting like the bridge bundles, the bridge replacements in Belmont Borough and Howard Borough. And then we also did the rehabs in Curtin Township, Miles Township,
Yep.
and Spring Township. So that's where some of that money went as well too. But the county uses none of that money for any roads or bridges. It's turned over to each of the municipalities.
And we also receive money from the natural gas wells.
Yes, that's part of the Act 13 funding, and that's strictly for bridge rehabilitation use. And we've been using a lot of that money on the bridge replacement project as well as the bridge rehabilitation project. That money's been a great resource to be able to revitalize some of these bridges in these local municipalities that they just couldn't do on their own. I mean, you're talking $1 million projects that the municipalities unfortunately just don't have that kind of money to expend.
And I think the first two bridge projects you mentioned in Bellefonte and Howard, those two bridges were, I think, 80 to 100 years old, and they were the only way in and out of those neighborhoods. So if
Yeah.
those bridges were closed, you've got dozens of homes and a couple of small businesses that would have to move.
Yeah, you actually have the Bald Eagle State Park on the one end
Yeah.
of the Mill Street Bridge, and that one's slated for replacement here on June 19th. They're going to start construction on that. They're finishing up the Railroad Street Bridge
Yeah.
as we speak this week. So it's great projects for both communities.
And as you mentioned, those are very expensive to do because you have to build a temporary bridge and then rehab or destroy the old bridge and then rebuild it, and then eventually tear down the temporary bridge.
Yes.
Yes.
And there are a few things that happen along the way, a few changes that happen along the way that impact the project. We had reached out last week looking at the Railroad Street Bridge, and what was supposed to be pipes to change the stream ended up being pylons along to reroute the stream. So it was a unique situation in that they changed. It didn't change the dollar value, but it changed the concept there, and she was able to see a change in the project there.
So Rich, is Coachy teaching you well?
Yes.
Coaching you?
Yes.
Good. Well, we're very happy to have you on board and look forward to working with you. And there's a lot of neat projects that we get involved in, and we're looking forward to working with you on them. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Commissioner Concepcion, anything?
Yeah, thanks for this overview, and, clearly all municipalities in Center County have the opportunity to apply for these funds, and then, we try to allocate them in a manner that, recognizes the level of need for each project.
I'm all
Great.
good to go. Let's
Any
go build some
questions
bridges
from
and
the
roads
press
and
on
things.
this? No? All right.
Then I will move that we approve the 2026 local or liquid fuels and fee for local use schedule.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2026 liquid fuels and fee for local use schedule. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. Great, thanks, Richa and
Thank you.
Coachy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very much. Pleasure meeting you.
I think that arm I see out in the hallway must be Leah from Children and Youth, who has a whole bunch of contracts for us.
I do. Good morning.
Morning.
So before you this morning, I have several contract renewals. The first being a contract renewal with Pathways Adolescent Center to provide foster care residential services for both our dependent and delinquent youth. The contract total is $165,000, with the state share being $132,000 and the county share being $33,000. The second is a contract renewal with Marikey, Pennsylvania, to provide foster care residential services, again, for dependent and delinquent youth. This contract total is $163,000, with the state share being $128,000 and the county share at $32,000. Another is a contract renewal with Alternative Living Solutions, ALS, to provide foster care residential services for dependent and delinquent youth. This particular contract total is $72,000, funded by the state at $57,600 and the county share at $14,400. Another contract renewal with Children's Aid Home Programs of Somerset County. This provides foster care residential services to both dependent and delinquent youth. Contract total for this particular shelter is $60,000, with the state share at $48,000 and the county share at $12,000. We also have a contract renewal with Children's Aid Society in Clearfield County to provide foster care services for dependent and delinquent youth. This contract is for $60,000, with the state share at $48,000 and the county share at $12,000. And then another contract renewal with Bethesda Children's Home Lutheran Social Services, or Bethesda Lutheran Services, to provide foster care services for dependent and delinquent youth. That particular contract total is for $130,000, with the state share at $104,000 and the county share at $26,000. Each of those contracts are for the period of July 1 of 2025 through June 30th of 2026. And then the final item I have for you is an agreement with Avanco International to provide our child accounting and profile system, CAPS, with the version 18 upgrade. So this is our case management system that we're required to have that communicates with the state's child welfare information system. And so there are some needed upgrades to our CAP system that will allow for the fiscal reporting and other elements of our AFGARs. You've heard me talk a little bit about AFGARs from time to time. This allows us to ensure that the information is being transmitted appropriately and that we are collecting the data as we are required to do so. So this agreement total is for $5,770.33, with the state share being $4,616.26 and the county share at $1,154.07. And this is for a period of May 15th of 2025 through June 30th of 2026.
Thanks, Leah. Thanks for covering those, and we appreciate the state funding that allows us to provide the needed services to these foster children, in this case, across the Commonwealth.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Commissioner Concepcion?
Yeah, thanks for this. We know that we try to keep kids here in Center County in foster care homes whenever possible, but sometimes there's placements that need to be made elsewhere, whether it's because of the particular needs of the kids or the inavailability of foster care parents. And so it's probably worth noting, as we're approving all of these contracts, that we are always looking for more families to provide foster care. And there's training available and a lot of support available, both through the county and through nonprofits that work with us to support our foster parents. So,
thank you.
And so if people are interested in becoming a foster parent, they can reach out to our offices and we can give them direction on how to get involved in that program.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Concepcion. Commissioner Dershowitz?
Well said. I think all these programs indicate the kind of dedication that your office has to making sure that kids are safe in your care, and we appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
With that, I'll move to add the Children and Youth Services items 1 through 7 to next week's consent agenda.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to add the 7 Children and Youth Services items to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thank you,
Great,
Leah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to you and your staff and your agencies. Appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
Moving on to our consent agenda, kind of on the smaller side this week.
I'll move to approve this week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving on to the check run, Commissioner Concepcion.
Yeah. What I'd like to make note of on the check run today is we have a number of payments for building rent to locations that are hosting elections for Center County elections. So we're really grateful to each of the organizations and churches and businesses that provide space in their facilities for us to run elections twice a year. Without that availability, it would be very difficult for us to provide convenient election polling places close to all of our citizens. And with that, I will move that we approve the check run for June 13th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the check run dated June 13th. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. John, is there an administrator's report this morning?
Nothing to report at this time.
All right. Moving on to reports and announcements, do we have a voters
We
registration?
do have a voter report today.
Okay.
This is the first one since the primary election. So today on our voter registration report, we have a total of 101,675 total voters registered here in Center County. That is up 84 from the last report. Of those, 41,282 are registered Democratic, 160 Green Party, 561 Libertarian, 15,574 with no affiliation, and 42,086 registered Republican. All of the other minor parties come out to 2,012 registered voters, bringing us to that total of 101,675 voters on our report. Moving on to our precinct of the week. Our precinct of the week is Bellefonte West. That's precinct 5. They have 1,055 registered voters. They had a total voter turnout of 20% at the May 20th primary. They vote at the Bellefonte Presbyterian Church at 203 North Spring Street in Bellefonte. And we would like to thank Bellefonte Presbyterian Church for the use of their facility for a polling place. That's the voter report.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Concepcion. Under announcements, Center County government offices will be closed on Thursday, June 19th, in observance of Juneteenth. John, do we have any executive sessions to report?
No executive sessions to report or hold.
All right, and the remainder of our public meeting schedule, we have our commissioners meeting on Tuesday, June 24th at 10 a.m. On Thursday, the 26th, we have a Finance Committee at 9, and a combined Board of Commissioners and Salary Board at 10. And then on Tuesday, July 1st, a Board of Commissioners meeting at 10 o'clock. Any additional questions from the press?
None for me.
No? All right, unless there's anything else for the good of the order, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn at 10:51. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries, we are adjourned.